video is supported by Profit Accumulator. Profit Accumulator helps you to earn extra money by doing something called match betting. Match betting isn't gambling. And when you do it properly, and I mean properly, you can't lose. So get involved right now. Click the link in the description and sign up to Profit Accumulator right now.
You come in before me. Hi, and welcome along to the All Guns Blazing podcast. Does that not sum up 2020 for you? Right? This is the last show. This is the last show of 2020. And there's a lot of people out there saying good riddance to 2020. It's been a really, really tough year. And I thought what we do on this show is take a look back at 2020 and also take a look forward to 2021 as far as Arsenal's concerned. The first things first, big up Profit Accumulator, our sponsors today, and they give us these matchups every week for us to, have a think about and talk about, and we're going to dive straight into this one. DT, for you and me, matchup, the best Arsenal player of 2020. Was it Aubameyang or Saka? Or was it somebody else who you might have even think should have been in there? But best player of 2020, that's the year 2020. Who would you give it
to? I would have to say, given the full year, it would have to be Saka.
Ooh.
Yeah, it would. I feel that Aubameyang's current form and, how much he struggled, shall we say, this season, not this year, this season.
Yeah. So say from September.
Yeah, it's kind of, knocked him down the pecking order in that respect. And I feel that during what's been a really, really tough period for us as a club, the one shining light has been Saka. He was beforehand. I would say until this season started, it would be Aubameyang, because without him, we would have been in a relegation fight. And lo and behold, he hasn't been scoring, and we've been in a relegation fight. So in that respect, that shows how important he was to us. Won us the cup final and everything else. That can't be, underestimated or anything. I just feel that over the course of 2020 as a whole, Saka would be the more consistent over the whole period, and it can't be underestimated what he's done in this current period we're going through. He's a 19-year-old boy that's had to, grab games by the scruff of the neck and pull some of the experienced players through, tough times. So that's why, for me, I feel that he's been the most consistent over the course of the whole period.
So it's a really close one because, like you said, Aubameyang, he had those, he was, like you said, leading up until the start of this season, he was consistent. He was by far, him and Saka, could put Leno in there until before he got injured as well. They were our best players. And we were so reliant upon him and his goals. And the semi-final and the final of the FA Cup, which ultimately was the only sort of highs for the year of 2020 for Arsenal, it was him who got the goals and he came up with those big moments. So, but I can kind of see where you're coming from on that. If you judge it overall over the year 2020, because he's not had a good, season so far. He's since September, he's had a big dip. So yeah, I don't know. I think I might side with you on this one. I might go. I think I'd have to probably edge Saka as well. But would love to hear what you guys think. Comments below, of course. Let us know. Who do you think's been the best player for Arsenal in 2020? That's the year 2020, not the season 2019-20, but the year of 2020, beginning December. And it's been a really strange year, not just for Arsenal, but for football as a whole. I think, for me personally, I think it's the worst ever year of football I can remember. And I'm not just talking about Arsenal, I'm talking about everything to do with football because of what's happened with the coronavirus, the season stopping, football being played with no fans. I mean, it's just been a really horrible, horrible year that none of us saw this coming, because actually Arsenal, we got off to a good start in 2020, didn't we? We were doing all right.
Yeah, we were. And, you know, Mikel had just taken over as manager. And it wasn't that bad a start to life. There was a few bumps along the way, but we were looking at it and saying, okay, new start, new beginnings. Let's move forward. And
yeah, because if you think about it, DT, yeah, the bumps came at the end of 2019, didn't they? That lost to Chelsea and, couple draws and that. But then he started off 2020 and leading right up until the lockdown, we were the only, I think we was the team that had we were still unbeaten and we were looking all right.
Yeah. Well, his first ever game in 2020, if I'm right in believing, was Manchester United.
That's right. 2-0.
Yeah, and we beat them. So, it was a great start to the year, and everybody was thinking, right, 2020, great year. There was all, the murmurs of coronavirus and everything else at the time, but
you're like, that ain't coming
in. Like, it's miles away. It's not going to happen, and you know what I mean. There was all these conspiracy theories about it's because someone ate a bat and all kinds of like madness, and we're just like, yeah, all right, whatever, yeah, nothing. And then as the year kind of progressed to around about March time is when you started to think, wait, hold on a minute, starting to hear a little bit more of this COVID, and we're mentioning it like it's a part of our everyday life now. It's not just something over there, it's something that we need to genuinely take on board. And before we know it, bang. I remember, ironically, just before we played Brighton, and the news broke that Mikel Arteta had coronavirus. And I remember we just had Manchester City away called off because we had been in close contact with the Olympiacos owner.
Yeah.
And he had COVID. And I remember getting prepared and thinking to myself, right, we're going to go to Brighton this weekend, because we were still allowed to go at that point. There was no ban.
No, hold on. It wasn't Brighton. It was who is it? We had West Ham. That was our last game. Remember we played them, we beat them 3-1.
It was before we played Brighton. We had Manchester City called off in the midweek.
Yeah.
On the eve of the game, early hours of the morning. And then that weekend, we were playing Brighton. And I remember we were still going to the game. We were still allowed and everything else.
Yeah.
And then the day before, I think it was.
That's right, yeah.
The breaking news that Mikel Arteta had coronavirus. And automatically you were like, well, our game's cancelled. That's it. And then the whole entire Premier League just shut down.
Yeah.
And even at that point, we're thinking to ourselves, all right, maybe a couple of weeks or so, they'll get all their tests, everything will go back to normal. No worries at all. 3 months or so later, we're sitting there like, oh my God, what is going on? There's no football. We're all eagerly waiting the first ever Bundesliga match.
Yeah, I remember.
Because we just wanted our fix. I think everybody done a watch along for Borussia Dortmund's first game, because it was the first game back. It was like everybody was like, please, I want to see football. And it was just, it was mad. The Euros got cancelled and it was just unprecedented. And then everyone started to then say, right, we get football back, we can get fans back. And it just hasn't transpired to that. We've still got football, but no fans. There was a little period for 1 or 2 games where fans came back. But listen, we went from tier 2 to tier 4, quicker than we went from 15th to 12th.
It was unbelievable. I remember that game at Man City, because I remember I went up to Manchester. My brother lives in Manchester, and I went up from the night before.
Yeah.
And then it was like I woke up in the morning, because the news broke that game was off like late at night. It must have been about, I don't know, after 12 o'clock at night. And I woke up and I'm looking on my phone. I'm like, hey, the game's off. And I went down to the Etihad and I did a little video outside and stuff like that. And I couldn't believe it. And then when you started seeing what was going on, you started saying to yourself, yeah, you know what? This weekend, the games are all going to be off. And yeah, and they were off, and crazy, man, crazy. No football, absolutely no football, no sport. And like you said, I mean, we were here twiddling our thumbs, doing cookery videos and things like that, and it was just like you said, it was just been unprecedented times. And then when I trace it, I'm like you said there earlier, at the start of the year, you're looking at it and you're seeing what's going on in China. And then I think Italy started getting hit quite hard. Remember?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, this thing's getting a little close now, man. You know what I mean? When it went to Italy. And then it ends up by the end of the year, now both of us have had it. You know what I mean? Both of us have had, coronavirus. Coronavirus has said to both of us, hey, where are you two going?
Do you know what I mean?
Where you think you got away? Bang, bang.
Mate, coronavirus was AFTV out. It's like that weren't having none of it. But do you know what, right? I just, the strangest thing is that this year seems to me to have gone quicker than any other year, but yet you've not really done anything to make the time go quick. It feels like you've been locked indoors for the majority of the time, but yet it seems to have flown by. I remember there was a period where no football, and we all had to do normal things. I was doing the gardening, and like the amount of stuff that I was doing in the garden, man, I even invested in one of them spray paint guns for the fence and everything. And I'm going around my garden and I'm spray painting fences, and I was like the proper Alan Titchmarsh. I was loving life in the garden, and it was like, and I was like, right, this will set me back for 3-4 weeks, and then we'll be back to normal. And then 3-4 weeks passed, and I'm like, right, I need to find something else to do now. And then it was like, oh mate, I've done everything. It was like
it's been a crazy year, man. Crazy year. Do you think the coronavirus, right, has had, when you look at all the clubs in the Premier League, and I was thinking about this the other day, I feel it's had a bigger effect on Arsenal. I think there's two clubs I looked at and I said, I feel that it's had the biggest effect on these two clubs more than any other club in the Premier League. One, Sheffield United, because they were, last season with fans and everything, they were flying. They were doing brilliantly, playing well. Their fans were a big factor. Coronavirus has come along, and then they've just been utterly terrible, and they've only got 2 points finishing off the year. But then I look at Arsenal, and I think coronavirus, when it comes to the Premier League, we'll talk about the FA Cup and stuff like that separately. When it's come to the Premier League, I think it has damaged us more than any other club in the Premier League. And just look at some of the reasons why I'm going to say to you, right, is the damage is caused on and off the pitch. We had, first of all, the whole mess about pay cuts. Remember, coronavirus hit, there was no football going on for quite a while. We come back. There was a couple other clubs where there was controversy. I think it was Liverpool and Tottenham. They were talking about furloughing staff because the furlough stuff came in, and they got a lot of criticism, and they quickly withdrew that and said sorry, right? But Arsenal went for this big pay cut where they wanted all their players to take a pay cut. And obviously, it seemed to me like at first the players were very hostile towards it. They didn't end up doing it in the end, but we all know about the so-called three, that including the one name that did come out, Mesut Ozil, who didn't take the pay cut, and it caused untold damage. That's still lingering on right now, I feel, because of that whole situation. The redundancies. Remember, I ain't finished yet. There's more.
Yeah, I know. I knew he was going to get into the 55.
Yeah, the 55 redundancies that was made at Arsenal. Again, didn't really hear about that coming out of other clubs in the Premier League. Caused a lot of heartache, caused a lot of pain. A lot of the people that got made redundant have been at the club forever. And, culminating in the whole thing about Gunnosaurus getting sacked and the negativity that produced. You had the Ozil situation where, he's been just sitting around earning 350 grand a week because nobody quite knows, but I'm sure he's connected to that pay cut. I'm sure that's got something to do with it. Saliba, situation, which has still not been resolved. As we know, there was incidents during the lockdown with Lacazette, balloons and things like that. It caused a lot of issues. And then you look at our league position, worst ever since the Premier League's been going, even finishing off the season. It's just gone completely wrong because, as I said, if you look leading up to the coronavirus, everybody was praising Mikel Arteta. Even Ozil was in the team. We were moving forward. It was only really that setback against Olympiacos that I could look at and say, well, that was a big, real surprise loss. But apart from that, in the league, it was steady. It was moving in the right direction. Then coronavirus comes in. We thought, we didn't finish off very well in the league. Ended up finishing 8th. Remember, we came back, lost to Man City, lost to Brighton. Very inconsistent. Start off the new season, absolutely dreadful. All these losses at home. So many players off form. I just feel that the coronavirus, apart from Sheffield United, has really, really damaged Arsenal. I don't know what you think.
I'm kind of looking at it another way in some respects, that I feel that what it's done is open up all the problems that have been hiding away for a very long time. And I feel that for us as a club to move forward, we need to address those problems. And they've been problems since way back when Arsene Wenger was manager. And I'm not pinpointing him as a blame here. I'm trying to say is that we've had problems from when he was a manager. And what he used to do very well was protect everybody behind him. He used to basically take all the bullets for what was going on in and around him. And what that allowed was a culture within the club to just go through the motions, get away with everything, because there was no real accountability for anything that was going on at the club. And that goes right to the very top, to the owners. There was no real accountability for them. Stan Kroenke never turns up, in this country and watches a game. We even play in major finals and stuff like that. He's not there. I think the last time I remember him coming over was when Arsene Wenger had left, and it was our final league game of the season against Burnley. And do you remember they projected his image on the big screen at the Emirates, and everyone straight away, boo! They see him straight away, and it was like, that's the last time that I can remember him coming over. So that's kind of where it starts from in that respect. And then the players, too many players on ridiculous wages that are just going through the motions, not really doing anything to contribute to the team. No real care, no real, understanding of this football club. And I feel that it's opened up a can of worms, and it's probably for the best, because now it looks like we're slowly starting to, or trying to, get rid of all of these major issues. Now, we've had a lot of change behind the scenes, boardroom level, CEOs, all that kind of stuff, restructuring of, coaches, new medical staff. There's so many things that we've changed behind the scenes. We've just recently brought in a guy from PSG as well, which is one of the doctors or something. He looks like an absolute tank. Looks like the kind of guy that if he says you're injured, you're not going to argue with him, because he'll pick you up and throw you out of a window. But what you're seeing now and going into 2021 is us trying to get rid of players that are still part of that problem and the whole process. And, I've seen news over the last day or so about Kolasinac leaving and everything else. This is all part of a problem. This is a player that was brought in on ridiculous wages that ultimately was just never good enough for Arsenal Football Club. If you talk about Kolasinac, what will be your one real memory of Kolasinac?
The Ozil thing.
Right. We didn't employ him to be a security guard. We employed him as a footballer on the pitch. Don't take away what he did. It was a courageous, amazing thing that he did. Some might say stupid, but whatever it was an unbelievable, heroic thing. Great. But you're employed by Arsenal Football Club as a footballer. And as a footballer, you're simply not good enough. And this is a guy that they're talking is earning in excess of £150,000, £60,000 a week in wages.
Yeah. Bought
Move
him
on.
on a free.
Move on. So
Bought him on a
this
free
is
transfer. Didn't work.
So I'm looking at it. Yes, I agree with what you're saying, that it kind of brought everything to the surface. But I'm also looking at that as a positive and saying, you know what, maybe that's what we needed as a football club.
You know what? It's true, because sometimes I posted something on my Instagram today, and I put reset, and that's how I look on 2020 as, for me personally, and maybe for a lot of the world, it was a bit of a reset. It's a bit of a, right, you know what, everybody take a pushback and take a look at yourselves and take a look at what you're doing. And I feel that is really the case in Arsenal. I think you make a really good point there, in that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom. You have to have problems, big problems and that, so that everything can be revealed before you can then start to say, right, this is the path forward. And you're right. For many years, these problems have existed. Fans have moaned about it, been slaughtered for moaning. Oh, you Arsenal fans, you're too miserable. Oh, what you lot moaning for? You got an FA Cup win and blah, blah, blah. But we've
That's
been...
the problem. That there, sorry, but that is the problem right there. You hit the nail on the head with that. When people say FA Cup wins, as great as they are, and as amazing as those days are, and the excitement of seeing your team lift the trophy cannot be underestimated. Us winning these FA Cups over the last few years under Arsene Wenger and now Mikel Arteta and everything just kind of papers over those gaping holes. It's like having a massive wound that you know needs stitches. You know you need to have an operation, but you keep covering it with a plaster. And eventually the plaster falls off and the wound's still there. You're never, ever going to repair it until you've had surgery. That's what I feel we're doing now.
Yeah, and then for all that time, we've been, you know, as I said, we've been told to shut up, stop moaning. You know, what are you lot moaning about? But the fans, to their credit, and you've got to give fans real big credit for them, they've seen these problems for a long, long time. They've seen it come in, and they moaned about it and said, why haven't we fixed this? And why is this happening? And why is it? And nothing's been done, because FA Cup, you know what? There's been two. If you even look back at the decade, because we're going into a new decade now, right? If you even look back at the decade, there's been two things that's always stopped the truth and the real horrible parts of Arsenal from coming out. It used to be top four, right? And then in recent times, it's been the FA Cup wins, because we've won the FA Cup like 4 times out of the last 7 years or something like that. So it's always masked over that bigger problem, which is basically, when is this team going to be a team good enough to challenge? And we've seen as fans that we've been way off. But now everybody can see it. And maybe, like you said, maybe we're going to look back on this and say it was actually a good thing to happen to Arsenal. Because even like Arteta's taken a lot of the flack. But I think what's been kind of surprising, I think in years gone by, a manager losing the amount of games that he's lost would have been gone at a club like Arsenal. He'd have been out the door. But I think even I've been surprised at the amount of sympathy he's had, because people have just looked at him and said, yeah, but look at what he's got. Look at what he's got. How can you sack him? I want to see him with better players. I want to see him given. And so that to me shows me that everybody's seen what the fans have been, genuine Arsenal fans have been saying for a very long time, that the club is in a mess. It's not being run properly. And that's why I talk about all those things that arose over the coronavirus. I didn't hear it at other clubs. What other clubs did you hear about pay cuts, redundancies? What other Premier League clubs? I didn't hear it.
No, not to the extent that we were hearing it. The thing is, you know what it is, Robbie? Yeah, I feel that if Mikel would have taken over Arsene Wenger, being the second manager, I feel that he would have probably got less sympathy in the same way that Unai Emery did. And I feel that because what happened with Unai Emery is that a lot of people did back him, and people will sit there and mention me or whoever it might be the first to scream, Emery out. That's actually not the truth, because people like myself and Troops were still backing him even after what happened in Baku and everything else. And the issue is that at that point, we weren't really looking at the whole team as a whole and going, you're the problem. We're going, you know what? He's a good player. He's a good player. Why can't you get it out of him? Why can't you do, yeah, okay, he's not good enough, but you only had one or two in your mind. So your first instinct was to go, manager's not good enough. Nobody told Unai Emery to play Cole Jenkinson at right back randomly against Crystal Palace in the Premier League. You know, nobody sent us over to Baku and put up that kind of lineup and got us humiliated in a European final. So the first port of call was Unai Emery. But then Freddie Ljungberg come in, and that was the first point where I looked and I went, hold on a minute. This guy now, this is a legend. This is an icon of Arsenal Football Club. How many of us, maybe not you, but how many of us went and sprayed our hair red? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Definitely not you. But
hey, I had hair then.
Listen, he was
picking it up out here. Don't worry about that.
So he was an icon. And immediately you started to look and you were going, where's the bounce? Where's this lift that everybody gets when a new manager comes in? Solskjaer walked into Manchester United and there was a bounce. It happens. But we're sitting there and we're going, there's no bounce here. What the hell's going on? The players don't look like they're responding. They're not. How can you not respond to an invincible, a legend, an icon of the football club? And that was when I very first started sitting there going, hold on a minute, something don't sit right. And Freddie was not a legend that was brought from the outside in. He was somebody that was already within this squad who knew what was going on and could see. And then what really opened my eyes was the game before Mikel Arteta took over and we went to Goodison. And he literally just went, right, all of you experienced players, get out. Off you go. And he brought all these kids in. And I sat there and I went, what the hell's this all about? Like, I knew he knew the youngsters because he was running the kids team, like under 23s and all that before he got brought forward. And I was like, is he onto something here? Like, because he sees what we don't. And he was in there in amongst the whole Wenger, Emery, all of this period. So he saw and sees what we don't. And that was when I very first thought, hold on a minute, something don't sit right with me, or something just don't feel right. And then Mikel come in, everybody gets a clean slate. It's a fresh pair of eyes from the outside in. And very quickly he made it, you know, known to everybody, I'm coming in. If you don't fit to the non-negotiables, as he kept calling it, then you're out. And yeah, very evidently, he's looked at what's not right. And what he hasn't done is buckle. Unai Emery had the same problem with Mesut Ozil. He had the same problem. Unai Emery's biggest problem was that he buckled. Whether he buckled or whether the club hierarchy buckled and said, put him in the team because something's not going right. What they did was that they set a marker and then moved away from it. They basically said, all right, Mesut, you win, in you come. Whereas now, Mikel sat there and gone, nope, don't care how bad it's getting. Mesut's not coming back in, whatever the reasons might be.
Yeah, it kind of been to the detriment, though, because, you know, this season, you know, last season, 8th position in the league was our worst ever finish in the Premier League. And this season, we're currently 13th. We've had a horror start to this season. We're hoping that, you know, he's had 2 wins in the last 2. We're hoping that he can pick it up now. Got West Brom at the weekend. Hopefully that can have a positive outcome as well. But it really hasn't been a good season this year. And I mean, as I said, there's a lot of fans saying, you know, they don't think Arteta's the right guy, should be sacked, bring in somebody else. So he's been under a lot of pressure. The team has not been performing. Despite we know it's not a good enough team, it's not as bad as where we are at the moment. This is now going into 2021. These are some big months for Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, massive.
There's so many players that need to go. Or I was looking at the squad. You look at that squad, just running through it. Callum Chambers, what do we do with him?
I think it's time to sell him.
Guendouzi's still on loan, as we know, but will he come back? I doubt it. He's not going to come back, is he? Socrates, that's another one. They want him. I'm sure they want him out the door in January, but will they be able to move him on in January? Again, another player on a lot of money.
That's the problem. That's the problem right there. A guy that's on over 100 grand a week, living life in London, he's settled, and it's
not his fault.
No, it's not, because it's the people that put him on them wages in the first place. It weren't Mikel that put him on them wages.
What's going to happen with Balogun? What's going to happen with Reece Nelson? I've heard that Reece Nelson is could possibly go out on loan. Mustafi,
there you go.
He wants to leave this month is the talk. I'm like, let's get him out, man. He's saying it like we're desperate to keep him. Like, come on, man, get out. I see. You remember we had this debate on podcast before the season started, and we had this whole thing about we've got 8 centre backs. Yeah, and
I said to you at that time, we still need to strengthen at centre back, because half of those 8 are simply not going to be a part of this football club. They're not good enough, and they shouldn't be here. Socrates is on his way out. Mustafi, David Luiz's contract runs out at the end of this season as well.
Yeah,
there's free immediately.
Yeah, then you got Kolasinac, like you said, he's going to be on his way out. You got out on loan. You've got Mavropanos, remember?
Yeah,
that's another centre off.
But he's having a great time.
Yeah, I think he's injured again. I'm sure someone said the other day.
Holding
is having a decent season. I think he'll stay.
The only reason why Rob Holding didn't go to Newcastle was because at the start of the season we had an injury crisis.
Yeah.
Remember, we'd gone from 8 centre backs to about 1. And we were sitting there going, oh my God, we ain't even got any defenders fit. Everyone was injured or whatever it might be. So I feel that's the only reason why Rob Holding had to stay. But that right side centre back is an issue and a problem that we need to address. We need to sort out.
Saliba. We still the Saliba issue. We've got
again. Yeah, I get it. But at the same time, what you've got to remember is that here's a kid that's played 30 competitive matches, like as a professional, came to a new country, he's lost both his parents. There's been some issues off the pitch. We don't know what goes on, off it in that respect. And Arsenal have set out a clear plan what they want to do with him. They don't feel he's ready, and that he needs to go somewhere and be a bit more experienced to then come back into the side.
They're talking about, because remember, they've signed this guy for £27 million.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to get it to work soon, right? Now, they're talking about sending him out on loan. There's obviously Saint Etienne and those, want him back. But apparently, they want him to go out on loan, maybe to a championship team or somebody like that, where he's going to get more. I don't think they want him to go back to France to, 'cause they're thinking, it's still a bit comfort zone, isn't it? If you go back to Saint Etienne again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like we've made a mistake with this signing. If it's, he's been here for, this is 2 years now, nearly. Yeah. We moved to the second year of signing this guy, and he hasn't played a game for Arsenal yet. And again, it highlights the bit of a mess that we're in. What are we going to do with Callum Chambers? Is he out on loan?
The problem with Callum Chambers is that, how long's he been at the football club? A very, very long time. I think he's a decent guy. I think he's a decent enough footballer. But is he what we want to propel ourselves to a next level? No, he's been here long enough. The reason why we probably couldn't sell him is because he had that injury. So you're not going to sell him. I feel now might be the right opportunity to maybe get a bit of money for him.
So are you saying, do you think we need to buy a right-sided centre-back in this transfer window then? Because
I think
if Mustafi goes, I'm looking at it from a numbers point of view. If Mustafi goes, Callum Chambers goes, they're right-sided centre-backs.
Yeah.
And Saliba goes out on loan. Basically, you don't have a right-sided centre-back apart from Holding.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, which is why I feel that the talk about finding somebody this month or next month, shall we say, is important, because as far as I'm concerned, Mustafi's already checked out. Don't play him again. Why don't play him? I've said this before the season started. He's made it clear that he wants to go. Oh, I see you later then. Don't play him. David Luiz, he's already checked out, in my opinion. Don't play him. So get rid of all of these players that are simply not good enough and not going to contribute to this club and are part of a process that's been poor. Get rid, bring in somebody new. You know, we don't have to spend colossal amounts of money right now to get somebody in. Who we could get in, I don't know.
Well, a decent centre back is a lot of money.
A decent
lot of money, because to me,
hey,
you know,
listen, hold on a minute. You say that, but we've got a decent centre back for 20 odd million pounds.
True. But in the January transfer window, people know the value of their players, man. They know when you're coming for them, and you know, I think you know what? It's in such a mess already. I think I'd rather wait to get the right player. I don't want to see no little half measure players coming in. If I'm being honest with you, I'd rather just suffer it through with what we've got until we get the right players. I mean, the one area again that it looks like they're really looking at, and we can see this has been a huge problem during the season, is that creative midfield player. You know what I mean? You know, Arteta's been talking about it. He knows that he needs that player. We lack that player. Now, who do we go and get in January for that position? There's been talk of Isco from Real Madrid.
Not for me.
There's been talk of Ericsson.
Not for me.
Ex-Tottenham, now at Inter.
No.
Not for me. Listen, beggars can't be choosers, mate.
I'm going to choose. I don't want either of those two. Isco, this ain't, 2015. All right? No. I don't want another washed up player. All right? You're going by a name. You're going by a name. He can't even get in the Real Madrid team. So what are you going to do? Send Dani Ceballos back and bring in another one that can't get in the Real Madrid team? Sorry, not for me. No.
Rodriguez couldn't get into the Real Madrid team, but speak to Everton fans, man. He's been brilliant for them. So
yeah, he was brilliant in the first month, and now he's injured.
Yeah, but he's injured. He's been brilliant, isn't he? He's been creative.
Everton, where they are at the moment in the league, is not because of James Rodriguez. He had a great start to life in the Premier League, and then it's just filtered out. I'm not even hearing his name.
Because of injuries, not because of performance.
Yeah, so it's not really been a success. It's not really been a success. He had a great first month of life. No, it hasn't. Not for me.
Yeah. It's been a success because he started off well. He's injured. It's not his fault.
Yeah, but Robbie, I don't want a player that's going to come in for the first month. Great, yeah, wonderful, and then he's injured. Well, not for me. Not for me.
He's injured. What can you do? You can't listen. When you go buy a player, that's why you do a medical. You can't. You're hoping that.
Don't sit there and talk to me about medicals. We signed someone with a broken back.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You do your medical properly, and then get in a player and hope that he doesn't get injured. But Isco's better than what
for me, Isco would be right up there with Denis Suarez.
No.
That's where that would be. Pointless. Absolutely pointless signing. Not for me, not in any way, shape, or form. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I've seen recent images and videos of him, and he looks so unfit. No. He's always
been a bit barrel-chested, man.
No, he ain't always been barrel-chested.
He's always been a bit barrel-chested.
Get out of it. Get out of it. Don't even try it. Not for me. Listen,
right. Better than what we got. What we got.
I'm telling you now, yeah. The person that I would go for in terms of the fee would be perfect. We could buy him on a permanent. They've got the age. They've got Premier League experience. And they are actually a creative player. Is the boy from Norwich.
Buendia.
All day. Go and look at the amount of chances that he was creating in that Norwich team in the Premier League. Go and have a look at him this season. I'm not buying all this rubbish about he's in the Championship. Liverpool bought Andy Robertson from a relegated Hull. Go and have a look. Listen, what?
It's when you buy a player,
£15 million. I don't think that's a big risk. Remember, you know that his representatives are also Emi Martinez's, Alexis Sanchez, because he's South American, because he's Argentinian, isn't it?
Yeah, Argentinian, yeah.
So I think for £15 million, I would actually feel that that's a decent. You could get yourself a real.
Here we go again. Decent.
No, he is. He's better than what we've got. Could he slot into this team? Yes, he does. You got to think. I look at him and I think to myself, right, I watched him when he was playing at Norwich in the Premier League, yeah? He had I think it was the second most chances created in the Premier League whilst at Norwich. He was like, he's like a diamond. He was like a diamond in the rough. Yeah, just because he played for Norwich and Norwich got relegated.
Had a lot of diamonds in the rough, but they got relegated. Now,
let's have a look at another one. You were sitting there singing the praises of a former Norwich player that had just signed for Everton and was excellent against us a few weeks ago.
No, listen, let me just break it down to you, right?
£15 million. I think
I'm not saying like what Ty said the other day, that because the players come from Norwich, that player is not good enough for Arsenal, right? Because, you know, like you said, we saw Godfrey. Was it Ben Godfrey?
Mm-hmm.
You know, quite a few Norwich players actually have moved from Norwich and they're doing all right. However, also you got to look on it like this. Somebody like Buendia, you're playing in a Norwich team, the pressures are different to playing for Arsenal. And I know they got relegated, but even still, it's a different pressure. When you play for Arsenal now, nobody's looking at your stats for the season. They look at you every game. You know this because you're one of the people who do it. And they get scrutiny from head to toe. From head to toe, man, you're looking at that player. What's he do? Why did he miss that pass? That. Is Buendia at that level yet? That's the only thing that worries me with a player like him. Stats look great. But can he handle the pressure of being at a really big club?
I think
I'm looking at it and I'm just saying, you know what? That's an area that's so important at Arsenal. I would like us to spend a lot of money on that position and getting somebody of the highest quality. And if there's an Isco and it's a stopgap until the end of the season, I'd take that because because to me, when all those players go at the end of the season, I want Arsenal to be in a position that if there's a guy out there that costs like 90 million and he's the answer, I want us to go and get him because we've got no creativity at the moment. None.
No, I know, but that's what I would go with.
Buendia.
That would be my preferred, choice. Cheap. And I look at it, and it's not so much that it's cheap. It's just the fact that I think that he's got quality about him. I think that he fits the bill for what we could have.
How come no one else went and got him?
But that's like anything, Robbie. You can sit there and say that all day. Why didn't no one else go for Andy Robertson?
Yeah, I guess, man. But that's what I mean. Sometimes they come off like those. Sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. We could bring him in, and he could hit the ground running and be sensational. And you could be sitting there going, "Boy, £15 million! What a bargain!" Yeah. Or, of course, you could be the flip side. But then it's the same with Isco. Because you bring him in.
No, that's loan.
Yeah, I know. But even so, you could bring him in because of his name. And it could be just 6 months of, well, it is. We're paying someone.
But then the thing is, then you send him back. You send him back because the thing is, as I said, I just don't want to.
For 6 months, but for 6 months, you've got nothing.
I'm looking on it. I'm like, you see, from now on, right? I want quality in this team. I want the highest quality.
Do you know what I would like, right? Because first and foremost, we've already got a new January signing when Thomas Partey returns. Because we've hardly seen him that much that it's going to be a January signing. But I look at our midfield, right? And I think for the remainder of this season, could a Thomas Partey and a Granit Xhaka or a Mohamed El Neni, be sufficient? Of course it could. It all day could. Thomas Partey, you look at how well he did against Manchester United with Mohamed El Neni next to him. So is that a major priority of who's next to him? No, I don't think so. It's the creative side. I feel when we get to the summer, we need somebody next to him. Yeah. We've literally just played a team who have a player in their team who I think will complement. He will complement Thomas Partey.
I agree.
Long, you know, and let's just say Brighton get relegated this season, for argument's sake. Are we going to sit there and go, boy, is he really that good? Brighton have just got relegated. Nah, not for me. No, because at the end of the day,
I hear what you say. I'm not saying I'm not saying you can't get a player from the Championship. I'm not saying that, you know, because there have been some players even this season like that. That SA who's come from QPR to Palace. He looks really good. You know, there's been a few. Jared Bowen, who went from Hull. He's gone to West Ham. He's looked good. So there are good players there that can, you know, I just want to make sure that position has the highest quality. Buendia could be the answer. I don't know. I've seen when he was in the Premier League last year, he was good, but he wasn't a super standout player to me. He wasn't. I don't know. Maybe because he was playing for Norwich. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but
yeah, maybe. But I'm just
stand out to me. I mean, he weren't.
The only thing that I look at is that you go and put the players that we are capable of putting around him in comparison to Norwich, and that's no disrespect to them. But, you know, when you've got the likes of Martinelli, Saka, Oba, Laka, Partey, all these kind of players in and around that creative player, that's some talent around you. And, you know, you've got to be able to produce. And it's an interesting one. I just don't want us to make the mistake of going and getting a loan signing where it just... When have we got a loan signing where we've sat there and gone, yeah, you know what, that one's really worked out? I can't think top of my head. Every time we bring somebody in, it just doesn't seem... Danny Ceballos, let's be honest about it. Apart from a period at the end of last season, it's never really worked out, has it? You know, the Denis Suarez loan, that was absolutely abysmal. What an absolute waste of a shirt.
I mean, do you trust Arteta to make the right signings?
Yeah, I do. You know what? Because
Cedric and Willian to me stand out as two terrible signings, man.
But then but then on the flip side of that as well, like I said, Robbie, and we've said this already, that swings and roundabouts with signings. You get some right, you get some wrong. So you look at Gabriel, he gets it right. He's the reason why Martinelli and Saka, who are two players that we're all raving about right now, sign new contracts at the club. Let's be honest about it.
And Aubameyang as well.
And Aubameyang, despite what you might think, those players signed their futures to the club based on the manager. They've all come out publicly and said it's because of Mikel why I signed, you know, a new contract. I see the vision, the future, and what we want to achieve as a football club. So, you know, like I said, look, Willian, it hasn't worked. It's been an absolute joke. But let's go right back to when we went to sign Willian. I think that you look at his final year at Chelsea.
Nobody wanted him, though.
No, it was not so much that you didn't want him. It's that it kind of made sense. A bit of experience in there. Is he really that bad? He was Chelsea's second best player. Yeah. They did want to sign him. Let's be honest. They kicked him out the door. They did want to keep him. And if he would have agreed to a 2-year extension, he would have stayed at Chelsea. So when you look at it, you think, you know what? Maybe a bit of experience, a bit of time for the likes of Martinelli and Saka to develop and grow and all the rest of it. And it hasn't worked. It's been an absolute disaster.
Disaster. And Cedric.
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, Robbie. But like
I'm looking at that Runarsson and I'm thinking that's another one that's not looking like a great signing either. So they got to get these signings right coming forward. Listen, before we go, let's touch on something that was good in 2020, and that was another FA Cup win against all odds. Quarter-final, had to go to Sheffield United away. Yeah. That was just the good Sheffield United before they fell apart. Got a win there where Ceballos got that goal right at the end. Went into the semi-finals. Nobody gave us a prayer against Manchester City. City had already battered us up when we come back in the Premier League. Great performance, turn them over, And then in the final against Chelsea, again, nobody really gave us a chance, and we turned them over. And that was the one high point, was that win in the FA Cup. I remember we was all at the Box Park and that. It was brilliant. No, that was a brilliant moment in the season.
Yeah, that's going to be your highlight, winning a trophy and everything. But, you know, it's small consolation for what's been a very, very tough year, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. And I feel that everybody's, you know, had to go through something, their own personal struggles in life this year. I think that it's tough. It's, you know, everybody's got their own lives and their own, you know, things going on in it. There's a lot of people that have lost family members to COVID. I know, like, it's not COVID related, but you lost your dad this year. I lost my uncle. So everyone's had their own, you know, problems to deal with and to try and get through what has been a tough time. It just feels that this year in general has just everything piled on.
Yeah, it's been a tough year, man.
It's been tough. So, you know, when you support a football club and you see your team win a trophy, it kind of gives you a bit of a lift and a boost and a little something to put a smile on your face and maybe put the troubles behind you. But 2020 as a whole, I just want to put an end to it, you know. But I'm not one of these. I'm not going to be sitting there on New Year's night at midnight and saying, yes, 2020's gone. 2021 is going to be a new year. I'm going to be a new man and I'm going to chase my dreams and do all this kind of stuff. Because look, let's be real. When it hits midnight, COVID don't disappear. It don't sit there and go, oh, well, 2020's done. I'm going. I'm see you later. I'm on.
Miserable bastard, you aren't you? I mean,
I'm not miserable. No, I'm listening.
Man, you look forward with hope.
No, because I'm going to look forward, but I'm not also going to be deluded in the mind of thinking, right, 2020's there. We've now gone through this kind of like gate and COVID's now
look forward with hope. You say to yourself, we've got 2 new vaccines. We're going to get back to normal soon. Arsenal are going to bring in some new players. We're going to start winning again. I'm going to, you know, have good health this year. I'm going to have wealth. I'm going to have happiness. That's how you look forward.
I tell you what I do. No, because
it's still here.
Hey, I'm setting the bar here. Yeah, so it's very easy to get over that bar.
No. Set it up here, man.
No. I'm starting here. All right, and I'm just riding it.
No, but if you start there, you're only going to get to there. You want to set it there.
No, because the only way is up. Because if you start right from the top, the only way is down.
No, so I look on things differently. I'm starting up there, right? If I start up here, man, you know what I mean? I'll get near to there at least.
No. I say the sky is the limit. At the moment, I'm below the clouds. But I'm going to look to go through the clouds and I'm going to look to the sky. And, you know, hopefully I get
going to be the same old miserable.
I'm saying, look, listen, I'll tell you what would actually be brilliant for 2021, right? The best thing ever would be as if you contacted me and said, DT, you get a pay rise. Then we're touching the sky. Then you touch the sky. And then
it's all about money, you know. It's about, you know what?
What I'm saying is, no, listen. What I say is, if you did that, then maybe I could employ a nice videographer to film me in a suit with a cigar, for my YouTube channel and everything.
Hey, that was Jason, mate.
I know it was Jason.
Jason's brilliant. Listen. I want to wish you a happy new year.
Yeah,
so,
and also
happy new year.
Can I just say as well, also for 2020, let's also remember there was something very, very good to celebrate in 2020.
You still got the ribbons on it, man. I can't believe it.
It was in January. I know. Look, I know it was in January.
But the thing's fallen off of it.
I know. Listen.
That's old now, man. Put that down, man. See, you're dwelling on past memories. Dwelling on past memories, man. We do it again this year. Hopefully, if we start playing football again.
Yeah.
But listen, yeah, Happy New Year. Right, you keep embracing that. Maybe at 12, you can give that a kiss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to everybody. And thanks to everybody who's followed the podcast this year. It's been brilliant. You know, the views throughout the year has been absolutely unbelievable. The amount of people listening. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Let's hope that like next year we're back in the studio doing it. Wishing everybody the best of health. Wishing you, DT, speedy recovery from COVID, as myself as well. But it's been one hell of a year, one hell of a crazy year. We've survived it. Let's hope Arsenal, we can have a much better 2021 and get back to the glory days, and the best of health, wealth, and happiness to everybody for 2021.